got a great national championship, fellas. I'm happy to watch this.
And look, the Fighting Irish haven't won a national championship since 1988, but Irish fans certainly remember the last time that they were playing in this game, 2013 against Alabama, which did not go their way, 42-14. Ohio State has won 6 straight against Notre Dame. And as if we didn't need more storylines in this one, obviously you got Ohio State, Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman played at Ohio State under Jim Tressel. He got his coaching start actually at Ohio State as well under Coach Tressel. So the storylines are abound in this one. The game's going to be played in Atlanta on January 20th, 7:30 Eastern Time. Mark your calendars on ESPN. What's amazing, too, and this I'm just seeing this on the graphic. Obviously, we know this. Number 8, Ohio State. Number 7, Notre Dame. If this were being played last year, neither of these two teams would have had a shot at even playing in this game.
Such a great point, because when you also think about what these two teams have been through this season, they have suffered crushing losses.
Right.
Notre Dame losing to Northern Illinois earlier on in the season, where everyone wanted you to basically be out of the college football playoff. Ohio State, you lose to Michigan towards the end of the season. Everyone's calling for Ryan Day to be fired, but he still had the opportunity where it was like, all right, everybody settle down. If we get to the national championship, then it's going to be real quiet.
Right.
Notre Dame, same thing. If we get to the national championship, it's going to be quiet.
Right.
So now both of these teams have faced adversity. They are playing some angry football, and it is going to be a sight to see.
It is. And, you know, what we're learning about this college football expanded playoff, just get in the dance.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Just get in the dance, and everything from there, just play good football, be hot each and every week, have favorable matchups like both of these teams have had. And then when you start to play the better teams, that's where you got to gut it out and win. But you know, for right now, for all of us, we got to stop with the season's over in September and October.
Right.
It's NFL football now. Get into the dance, and then we'll see what happens.
You talk about matchups. I don't know that this is necessarily a favorable one for Notre Dame, but again, you're in the national championship game, and anything can happen, Maddie.
Yeah.
So your early thoughts on this national championship game and how these two teams match up against each other.
Man, it's going to be fascinating. For one, Ohio State, I think it is very favorable matchup for them, because Notre Dame's inability to continuously be aggressive in the passing game will be a concern. And I think Ohio State is built perfectly to stack the box, be physical, and to push bodies around. And of course, what Skubie mentioned earlier, with the injuries on Notre Dame's offensive line, that's got to be a concern.
It's got
to be a huge concern. So Riley Leonard, they got to perform like they did against Penn State with their skill group again and make some explosive plays when they matter.
It's going to have to be a team effort, right? Notre Dame, that's the only way.
Of course. Yeah. Well, I mean, of course it is. And that's where it's like you got to think Marcus Freeman, you know, Denbrock, Al Gold, they got to do a great job of game plan specific plays, get your guys these explosive opportunities to get in it, win special teams like Marcus Freeman does.
All the little things.
It seems each and every week, and just keep your team within striking range always. Because if you can hang in there like they did against Penn State, then anything can happen in crunch time.
Notre Dame does a great job at turning the ball over.
No doubt.
Seen
Great
that
point.
all season long. And I think if you're looking at this as a Notre Dame fan, you're saying, man, I hope Will Howard makes a couple of those mistakes and gives us an opportunity to have some short field situations. And I think that is the key if you're Notre Dame. You're saying, okay, we're going to trust our corner. You got Xavier Watts. You got Christian Gray. Those guys can play one-on-one coverage.
No doubt.
Those guys, in some plays, you can be like, all right, we're going to leave him on the island with Jeremiah Smith. I know he's a dynamic player, but if we bring pressure, if we can get what we need against Will Howard and confuse him just a little bit,
calculated risk.
Maybe he makes a mistake and our defense can get us some points, because Notre Dame has done that. They've given points to their team. They've made those plays throughout the season. So I think for Notre Dame, that's what I look at mostly, because I don't see how this offense is going to find much success against this Ohio State.
It's just another reason why Notre Dame has been a bit of an enigma this year, because you cannot predict turnovers or takeaways. And Notre Dame, you kind of can now bake that in to a game that Notre Dame is playing in.
That is their recipe.
32 takeaways this year, which led the country. So, like, that is something that you can almost count in.
Multiple looks on defense. Al Golden does a lot of different things. They always kind of end up in the same simple coverages. They don't do a ton of different coverages, but the front will be a big key. With Ohio State, they're getting more solidified with their offensive line. Offensive line has played much better these past 3 weeks, right? They feel much more confident now in the playoffs. But big picture-wise, the communication will absolutely be a huge thing for this Ohio State offensive line to make sure that they're protecting Will Howard in obvious passing situations with those pressure looks.
I mean, Michigan fans, I don't know if that's Michigan fans are probably saying, hey, we won. If anything, you want your team to win it. You want your Big Ten team to win the national championship if you're Michigan. But I will say,
we don't promote that kind of,
let's see, what's this one? Karmic punishment for cheating is an Ohio State Notre Dame national championship. Hey, I like this. Lucy, that's my homie too, by the way. She's comedy. Great pull there by our team. But I will say, guys, for Ohio State, what they have to clean up is those penalties. 9 penalties for 75 yards against Texas, the most that they have had this season.
Drive
and
killers.
A lot of what their game against Texas was is drive killers.
Yeah.
It would be, we're getting a drive going here, holding call, 10 yards. The second drive of the game, after they drove down the field and scored, Travion Henderson throws a dumb punch and then costs them a 15-yard penalty. The next drive after that, they're running the ball, another holding penalty, a false start. These things are really going to be costly against a Notre Dame team that typically doesn't make too many of those mistakes.
Yeah.
I know they had 2 interceptions that get called back against Penn State.
Yep.
But I think cleaning up the penalties will be huge for Ohio State against
Absolutely.
the Notre Dame team.
All due respect to Marcus Freeman, Ryan Day, the really intriguing coaching matchups to me are at the coordinator spots, because I think you have a couple of the best coordinators on offense and on defense on both sides of the ball in this one.
No doubt.
For the college football nerds, this is a really good one.
I'm all about nerding up for this one because Chip Kelly versus Al Golden. Chip got to dial up a few things versus man coverage to make sure that you're getting opportunities for your guys. Curious to see how that is. For Al Golden, does he break the tendency and do some more zone, some more fire zone looks just to make sure that he's trapping Will Howard into making errant throws in certain situations? But we got tremendous defensive players on both sides of the football.
Yeah.
I mean, Kaiser and Bowen, the way they have played for Notre Dame has been phenomenal. The big question mark really will be for Notre Dame, just like how healthy can they get on both offensive and defensive lines, and the depth on their defensive line is a big concern. If Ohio State can just push them around and be patient in the running game and be physical and rip off a few big plays with Henderson and Judkins, that would be a big concern for Notre Dame fans.
Yeah, that was going to be my thing. How healthy is Jeremiyah Love? We saw him limping around with that leg injury.
Still heard of the guy with one leg. I mean, right?
Exactly.
It's unbelievable.
And for Notre Dame, that running game is going to be huge. I've said it for Texas, and I've said it for other teams. And like Penn State, lean on your 2 backs. You don't just have 1 good running back. You got 2 running backs. And for Notre Dame, you might have 3 because Leonard can ball. And just look at this.
And Williams.
Jeremiyah Love can
crazy.
hurdle people too. He did this in the Orange Bowl. He's a human highlight reel. So find ways to get him the ball. Stay on schedule. Texas, with their offense, was able to move the ball down the field, and it was because they had game control with that clock. They ran the ball well. They were able to just get those short completions down the field and every now and then throw the ball deep down the field. And that is what they did against Penn State in terms of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Quick point. What's great, I think, about this matchup, 2 teams that really don't rely super heavily on the transfer portal. Of course, Leonard and Will Howard both coming from different schools.
Right.
But both teams that I think pride themselves on culture and building a foundation of a program that develops fantastic talent and senior-led talent. And I think there's no coincidence there that both of these teams are in the championship with that type of mentality.
Yeah, and someone in the chat just said, does anyone feel like, congratulations, Texas? And we're just taking shots. You know what, buddy? Congratulations, Texas. You did.
We gave
made
Texas
it to the top
their
4.
flowers.
We gave y'all
no
your
doubt.
flowers.
We did.
Good to you.
Wow.
Hey, Texas, congratulations.
Man.
You made it this far, but
All right.
still not your
Yeah, I mean,
expectations
I'm a
of what
little
you're
shocked,
doing.
though, that, like, hey, I mean,
We gave Texas.
you
their
made
love.
it to the Final Four.
They
Good for
did.
you. Is that still a banner?
One of the
like,
4
do
best
they
teams.
do that now in college
Semifinal?
football?
I don't know if they do that. That's a
Like,
good question.
Final Four, you get to hang a banner? Or?
Final Four should be a big deal. Now that we've expanded.
Yeah.
Nah, man, it's all or nothing.